All right, Mike.
Hello.
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 Welcome to Beyond the Gray, Mike.
Thank you for having me, Don.
Yeah. So for the everybody who's listening, doesn't all new to this episode or new to this podcast because it's only our third episode. I'm fortunate and excited to be with you, my brother.
Broskies.
Broskies. Known you for 37 years. I want to make sure I wasn't get that right.
Yep.
We've been trying to schedule this.
I'm better looking, a little bit taller. I do have a paler complexion right now, but I have really good skin. And I do have a little bit of a salt and pepper hair.
Yeah.
But that goes to my distinguished look.
Yeah, so everybody who's listening online, he's staring at himself in the camera right now.
I do like seeing myself in the camera.
Yeah, I can tell you do. I can tell.
I'm slouching a little bit, but I am taller. So
we've been trying it. We've been talking about doing this since July.
37 years.
37 years. I think we talked about this initially in Florida.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's been 3 months almost.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. Finally got here.
Been wanting to get on. Yeah. It's just your schedule's busy. My schedule's busy.
Yeah. And we weren't destined to do this. So I'm glad we're finally doing it.
Yeah.
So, hey, appreciate you for doing it, man.
Of course.
Really do. So Mike's story is pretty awesome. And the premise of Beyond the Gray, this whole podcast, is kind of talking about, when people make leaps, when people kind of go beyond this gray zone and get into this uncomfortable zone and overcome challenges and, do really cool things in life and they come out on the other end. That happens a lot because of our choices, whether we want them to occur or not. Sometimes it's through a struggle, sometimes it's through whatever it may be. My brother is one of 4 owners of Axe & Sledge, All-American Roughneck, American-Made Nutrition, a gymnastics gym.
Yeah, it's a gymnastics facility. Elegance Elite
Elegance Elite.
Yeah.
And then a retail store here in Pittsburgh. So
412 Nutrition.
5 businesses, maybe others I don't even know about.
No, that's it. Yeah,
that's it. 5 businesses.
Yep.
They're all on average 3 years old.
They range from 5.5 years, All American Roughneck and American Made Nutrition, and then as young as 3.5 years with Axe & Sledge.
Axe & Sledge is the youngest.
Yeah, by 2. Axe & Sledge
and gymnastics.
And then Elegance Elite, I guess, would be the youngest at like 2.5 years, 2 years.
Regardless, all 5 of them have become super successful businesses. And, the 4 of you kind of, I don't know, Seth and Pat's. So your business partners are Seth Barosi, Bobby Doutrich, I can never say his last name.
Bobby
right?
Doutrich, yep. Iron Man Bobby.
Yeah,
he's the real life Iron Man, yep.
And Pat. Now, the convening of the 4 of you is a completely crazy story. Like you all came from different walks of life and kind of have met and made this, these awesome businesses and become really successful. But I'm gonna let you tell the story a little bit, and then we're gonna get back to predating these 5 businesses because that's really where
you were in the suck.
Yeah, you were in the suck for a while. So, but let's talk about 4DH. Yeah. Let's just cover that real quick. So 4DH is the name of the actual holding company.
The holding company, yeah. So 4DH owns the rights to our brands, lifestyle brands, nutritional brands, apparel brands. So All American Roughneck is a limited release apparel company. I'm looking at them and you, by the way. Talking.
It's throwing me off.
Yeah, I know. But I feel like, you're over there.
I'm
not going to ignore the people,
Your fans, yeah.
But All American Roughneck is a true blue-collar lifestyle apparel brand. So we do 6 to 7 major releases a year. Tomorrow night, being by the time you hear this, it'll be done probably. But tomorrow night, October 7th, 8 p.m., will be our big hoodie release of the year. It's our October fall release.
So this is going to come out Friday morning. So if by chance, there's zero chance there will be, but hopefully you get a chance.
Yeah. So we do 6, 7 big releases a year. We really got into custom apparel this past year. But usually we'll do, many units, and they'll be sold out within maybe, the popular items in 10 minutes, something like that.
Let's just say thousands of units.
Tens of thousands of units in minutes. Yeah. So we'll have a mad rush. We'll have 10, 15,000 people on the website at 7:59 because we always do them Thursday nights at 8 p.m. That's like been our time. And Bob and I'll talk about this later. But so that's All American Roughneck. Axe and Sledge is your everyday, not every day. It's your sports nutrition, health and wellness, nutritional supplement brand. With this brand, we're in every GNC nationwide, domestically.
Which is a new thing, right?
Yeah, so we started out with GNC with, so whenever you get into a place like GNC from a nutritional supplement standpoint, what they'll do is they'll send you to like their, B stores or something like that. So in this case, we started out with just franchisees, which is, I'm just spitballing here, but I'm going to say about 2,000 stores. So you started with the franchisees.
But that kind of fits your model too, right? Like, because you
we're
guys
franchise,
are...
we're brick and mortar, local, mom and pop, independent people.
Yeah.
That's the way we started, and that's the way we...
Not corporate. You guys aren't corporate folks.
We weren't.
Right,
yeah.
right. You weren't.
Then you get to the point where, the brand justifies becoming corporate. So we started with just with GNC franchisees initially, and then they see the performance. So all the analytics and metrics that corporate watches, well, they see what's happening there, then they decide it's time to make the move. And that's where we went with them. But anyhow, we started out with Axe and Sledge being only direct-to-consumer actually at the very beginning, because Bob and Seth, who we partnered with, came from a direct-to-consumer eccentric brand with All American Roughneck. So after a few months, the demand was just too high, so we decided to go wholesale. Eventually, 3.5 years later, we're in, roughly 8,000 to 9,000 stores domestically, and who knows internationally as far as that goes, because we go to larger distributors internationally and partners that we have.
Do you know how many countries you're in? Or probably not, because it's regional.
As far as the major territories go, Australia, UK, Canada, Mexico, South America.
So you're missing a couple continents.
South
Antarctica.
Africa. No, we're in. Yeah.
Missing. That'd be a tough one.
Yeah, missing Antarctica. But
you're easily global in covering. I mean, you're everywhere.
Yeah, but sorry, there's fruit flies here. But there's a ton of white space still available. I think we're scratching the surface, honestly. I think we could triple or quadruple down in the next 6 to 12 months domestically, and then when we're ready to really go international, that'll be just a whole nother piece in itself. But I think a lot of brands like in this space try to jump straight to that.
Yeah, right.
And that's where their mistakes happen. That's where they don't get paid. That's where you're trusting somebody you don't know yet. That sort of thing. But yeah, that's Axe and Sledge in a nutshell, I guess, for now.
Yeah.
Right. And that was started. So Axe and Sledge, the face of Axe and Sledge is my business partner, one of my business partners, Seth Feroci, and he's who we based the entire thing off of. When we started it, we were introduced to, so Pat and I, it's a good segue to American Made Nutrition. Pat and I started American Made Nutrition 5.5 years ago out of our garages in Plum.
And we'll get to that story. We'll get to that back history.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we started that, but anyhow, we were introduced to Bob and Seth 4 years ago, February of 18. We started June 7th. We launched Axe and Sledge June 7th of 18. We introduced them in February, so we introduced them through a third-party friend, and so we sat down in our offices at 412 Nutrition, our small store that Pat and I worked out of and sold American Made Nutrition from, to brick and mortar stores, online, and everything, but we also had a storefront. We introduced them. Our first meeting was 2 hours of fuck you. Am I allowed to say that on here? It was like 2 hours of fuck you back and forth, right? Like, we don't trust you. We don't trust you either.
You guys didn't hit it off.
You know what? Like, I don't even know, because it was like...
it was contentious, but...
I respected them.
Your personality types, now that I know all four of you well,
yeah,
that probably was you hitting off. Maybe I probably misspoke there. I mean, like, you're all type A, strong-willed, not going to bend.
Yeah, and we'd all been through the ringer.
Right, yeah.
We all had history of being, fucked over by whether it's a business partner, a boss, or a company that we worked for, we all, and it was still fresh for everybody. So it was, a bunch of fuck yous back and forth for a couple hours, 4 grown men in a room, double the size of this table. It was really hot, and we were sweating, and they left, and I'm like, this is not going to work. I'm sure those guys left and said the same thing. I know for a fact they did. And then all of a sudden, we all slept on it. We were like, I got a little respect for them, because Pat and I weren't aware who Seth was or Bob was.
So Seth is a former IFBB pro bodybuilder, big time bodybuilder.
Mm-hmm. He's the All-American Roughneck.
He has an image.
Yeah, he was the hottest up and coming bodybuilder in 2009. He was the quickest person to ever go from amateur bodybuilding, that I know of at least, to go from amateur bodybuilding to pro bodybuilding in less than a year. And he just had this, truthful, upfront, I will tell you the truth whether you like it or not image, because that's just who he is. And I didn't know that about him when I first met him. And so whenever we all slept on it, we met again 2 days later, because Bob lived in Reading, PA at the time. And he had to go back on, I think, Thursday evening. So we all of a sudden were like, hey, let's just get back together. So we hashed it out again for another at least 2 hours. And then by the end of it, it was, you fucked me over, I come after you. And we were like, you fucked me over, I come after you. But one thing we had in common was that we were just family men, and we had nothing to lose. I think we all identified that in each other. Was we were all at the point where, we're doing okay, we're getting by, but we have nothing to lose, and we saw something in each other that we didn't have. So Pat and I on the back end, Pat with the manufacturing formulation expertise, the contacts there, Bob with this untraditional marketing sense. Guy was he is an out-of-the-box marketing guru, in my opinion. I still say that about him, and he's still killing it with that. And then you have Seth, who's just Seth. You can't replicate what he is, So I saw these guys, and we're all like, you two have something that we don't have, and we can't build. And we were like, you two have something that we have and that we don't have, and we can't create it. There's no faking it.
I mean, the chances that the 4 of you who had just gone through difficult times and that you meet up, and then you all have very unique traits and skill sets that blend so well together. I mean, that's pretty special. So just to clarify real quick, Bobby and Seth knew each other. They had All-American Roughneck. You and Pat knew each other, had American Made Nutrition, and your 412 Nutrition, which is the storefront, kind of like the headquarters for American Made Nutrition.
Our offices.
Yeah. It was a small storefront in like a strip mall.
Yeah.
And then the 4 of you got together, created Axe and Sledge, and then also the gymnastics.
Gymnastics facility.
Why can't the facility word doesn't want to stay in my head?
Yeah.
So then 4 of you got together, created Axe and Sledge, and then eventually just created 4DH, which is now you're all equally owners of.
Yep. Yeah, we all own 4DH equally, and then 4DH owns the rights and joint venture agreements to each of the brands. But yeah, I mean that's I guess how it went down overall. But that's like the short story, I guess.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think it's, I think that what is so important to note about 4DH and all those companies is just how fast it's grown. I mean, like the success you've seen. To go from no stores to global, probably estimating over 10,000 stores, like that's pretty, in 3 or 4 years, that's pretty astronomical.
So I don't toot our horns very often, but the impressive part about that to us is that if you look at our balance sheet or our budget, there's $0 ever spent on online marketing. So we've never paid for an advertisement.
Right. Yeah.
And we work in an industry of marketing companies. Like a lot of the brands that you see, they might be 6 people in an office in New York or LA, that just know how to hit buttons for marketing.
They know the
they
Google
know where to put
Analytics.
their. It's not us, and then they're all their shit's getting shipped from a 3PL. There are 3PLs doing their customer service, all that stuff. Us, first thing we ever hired for was customer service. So I've always said, in our Friday morning meetings or Monday meetings, I always say we are a customer service organization first and foremost, and because we don't advertise. So if we're not looking for that new customer to come and buy one time, maybe twice, at $45 a clip or $60 a clip, we're looking to conserve every single customer we ever get and retain as much as we can, and that happens through our customer service. Our customer service will fuck any other organization up in this industry, bar none.
Well, I mean, you've created a community too, which we haven't touched on. I mean, like
Right.
there is, your Facebook group's got, I don't know, tens of thousands of people in there. You've got your demo crew, which is, I don't know, thousands. I don't know how many people are in there.
7,000, yeah.
7,000 people in your demo crew. I mean, that community in itself, like when I'm not engaged in it at all, hardly, but like I see, I'm in the Facebook groups and I see those conversations and I see, I got to meet some of the demo crew elite, which is like your top reps, and like these aren't, and this is fully in respect for these guys. Like they're not social media
Wizards, yeah.
I mean, they don't have millions of followers. They have like hundreds of followers. I mean, they're just people who represent and who signify the brand, who represent the brand, who stand for the brand. Like these aren't. It's clearly you're not going after people who are got the following, like which is like seems like that's the model for most companies. Is like just buy the big distributors, which are social media influencers.
I mean, it takes work to build a community and to keep it running. Because when we say keep it running, it's not making us survive. It's making sure that we're engaged. Like Carly, our demo crew, she's our director of customer service, but she initially started out whenever I hired her as a demo crew like team leader. And what her goal has always been, and my goal with her has always been, is to engage with these people as much as possible. It's not out of there's a return on that, monetary return on that, but if you build a community, this is a lifestyle brand, like this is a lifestyle company. So with a lifestyle company, if you don't have that community foundation built, the fuck good is it? You know what I mean? So we have 7,000 demo crew members. And then we have about 30 to 40,000 people that are members of the Access Sledge Facebook communities. But we engage incredibly well with them. So like we'll have Zoom calls scheduled. So we'll go into our demo crew Facebook group and be like, hey, schedule a Zoom call with us this week. You have a 10-minute, 15 or 30-minute time slot. Hop in there. Like we're putting people's time into these other people. Like there's a lot of brands out there like, so why'd you get into this? To change lives. Okay, go fuck yourself. Like, are you kidding me? No, you didn't. You got into it to build a brand to sell it probably. Right? So if you go about this in a way where you actually do try to change people's lives, like you actually walk the walk, it's way easier to be successful because you're doing what you're supposed to do, first of all, and you are actually changing people's lives. And guess what? They return that favor. You know what I mean? And we did the Transformation Challenge last year, and I was like, oh man, it'd be cool if we had like 2,000 people sign up. That'd be incredible. We could obviously market it, but we could also like really, really help a bunch of people and get new customers. Like that has to be an objective all the time, right? So we had 6,800 people sign up, and we were like, man, like that's way more than we ever expected. Is our infrastructure in place for this? And we had the one I always tell people in this company, or at least like my partners, like the one place I'm always okay with overstaffing is customer service.
All right. Yeah.
I am fine with that. If you're understaffing customer service like we were in the beginning when we were overwhelmed, like that's the worst feeling in the world, is not being able to serve your customers. They bought something from you and you can't serve them. You can't like respond to them in an orderly fashion, or you can't you can't
rectify a problem.
You can't rectify a problem.
Mistakes happen.
Or
happen.
like they can't communicate because we don't have enough people in shipping right now, and the people in shipping are strung out because there's not enough people there to help out, so they can't communicate properly. I'm like, no, we're going to be overstaffed in customer service and pretty much overstaffed in shipping because that's a customer service thing too.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are all your customer service is in house. You're not using a third party.
No,
all of your
in-house.
shipping is
Yeah,
now
it's
in-house.
expensive. Yeah,
It's in-house.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, it's pretty impressive. So let's segue. All right, let's segue back to. I mean,
Mind if I fill this up again?
Yeah, no, fill it up. I'll talk.
Yeah.
We have bourbon in front of us. If you can't, I would encourage you to check out the HWMF podcast where you can get, or look at their Instagram page, Axel Sledge or Seth's Instagram page. You can see the wall of bourbon.
Hey, can this be sponsored by Banana Man? So Banana Man, it's going to be now. Banana Man whiskey, okay? Good friend of mine, Ryan Armstrong, out of Fort Lauderdale. This is okay, right? So he sponsors Cody. He sponsors Cody Law, who's one of our like family members, athletes. He's a badass Bellator fighter. I think it's Cody Law 10 for 10% off. Go ahead.
What's the name of it again?
Banana Man whiskey.
.com or what? Like how do you Google?
Just Google Banana Man whiskey. You should find it.
All right, Banana Man. You can DM me for order send my bottle to. Appreciate it.
Yep.
So we mentioned there's 4 of you, 4DH. We're not going to get into the stories of Pat, Steph, and Bobby, obviously, but we can just say that they've gone through their trials and their tribulations. They've been kicked around. They've had it rough.
Mm-hmm.
They've been shit on a lot. But we're going to talk about you. And I don't know. I would say you've been shit on. You'd probably say you've been shit on. But let's go.
A lot of it could have been my fault too. But yeah.
Well, let's go. Well, I'm sure it was your Rhoten. It's a tree.
It goes with the name.
It does go with the name. So let's go back to, I don't know. College. Your degree, your undergrad degree is?
Advertising and design.
And you got that from Flagler College in Florida?
Flagler College, yep. After I got injured playing baseball with you at Pitt, went and played for 6 months at Flagler, and then got injured again, and it was over. I was done. I was fed up with it anyhow. But.
Mm-hmm. So Mike was at Pitt for 2 years and then transferred down there and then just finished your 4th year not playing just in school.
Yeah, not playing. Yep, I was done.
You later went on to get your MBA, right?
Yep.
Where did you get that from?
Phoenix College, I think it was called. It was online. I don't know. I have it. It's not a big fucking deal.
It's a piece of paper.
Yeah. Did me no good.
I don't know that. Well, let's just really.
Oh no, it did me good. Let's go to school.
Yeah, that's not where I was going. I mean, let's just put another disclaimer out there.
The reason I did it is because I wanted to own my business one day. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Budding entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So, the Rhoten boys, us, not the parents. Our family is all educators. We were not meant
way smarter than
for school.
Yeah.
We were not meant for school.
Not school guys.
Sports. We went to college for sports. Anyway,
throw baseball. That's it.
Throw things. So you graduated, graphic design degree. What did you do after college? Right out of college?
Straight out of college, I moved back here to Pittsburgh, and my wife and I, Amanda, got married, like right after, pretty much.
High school sweethearts.
High school sweethearts, yeah. She asked me to prom, if she hears this. And I thought about it. I said yes, but we went. It's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, hell for that.
So after that, so I started working at a print shop with Tom Gentile, one of my
Shout
best
out Tom.
boss. Oh, dude.
Name drop Tom.
This dude will work you through the fucking ground. He will just outwork you. And I learned a lot from him.
So you were at a print shop, just to clarify here,
yeah.
Specifically, you were a graphic designer,
mm-hmm.
and I guess maybe a little bit of a technician in a print shop at a school for
the deaf, nonprofit institution, yeah.
Here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and
it
was a great I did it for probably 3 years. Yeah. And then eventually I was just at the point where I was just like, man.
Not for you.
What?
Wasn't for you.
What?
Like
No, it wasn't for me.
Yeah,
no,
it wasn't your job.
No.
It wasn't your.
And Tom knew it. He knew it. he could see me restless every single day, and it was like a 7 to 3 job. Like you could not work anybody. You couldn't like show off how much better you are.
You had a checklist, and you were just
I
putting
was
out
doing-
the same
I was doing
stuff.
pre-press stuff for like a.
You had an
so
office, but you may well have been in a cubicle doing like the same
Yeah.
thing every day.
Very generic. So I played softball out in Grapeville, PA, near Jeanette, and my buddy there's a bunch of coal miners that were a part of this team, and like jail wardens, stuff like that, and jail guards, I should say. And I always like these guys are like, man, I fucking really vibe with these guys.
Coal miners.
Yeah.
These are guys who are in mines.
Yeah, coal mines in Western PA, Greene County, PA. Two of the biggest underground coal mines in the world. And I'm like, fuck, like I really get along with these guys. I'm a blue collar guy. I'm a simple guy. I don't need much. And then his name was Justin. Was like, well, would you have an interest in this? I'm like, I'm tall, right? I'm 6'5 3/4" probably.
Really?
Yeah.
Generous.
Say that, yeah. But so eventually he's like, I don't know if you really want to come underground, man. Like, you're a pretty good thing. Like, it's an hour and 45 minutes away from home.
And you start early.
You start early, you swing shifts. You work 6 or 7 days a week. And I'm like, dude, I need something different. So got me in. I was a foreman, section foreman. So I'd go underground, go 850 feet underground and travel, 45 to 55 minutes into the face of a coal mine. Go all mine from Pennsylvania to West Virginia. So you'd be under there with your guys, like survival. Like it literally is survival no matter what anybody says. It's production, safety, and survival. That's your like 3 basic ways that you get rewarded. Production being number 1, and safety is a close second, because if you get an incident where you either have a broken bone or stitches or die, those are the 3 things. You can't die, can't have a broken bone. If you get stitches, guess what? Go get stitches somewhere else where this fucking place doesn't find out about
Save it up. Do it
Because
later.
if that's an incident, guess what? All of our quarterly bonuses just went down, fucking 10-20%.
So, I mean, like, I don't think people realize how regulated mines are.
Safety inspectors every single day. They go down the chute with you every single day.
And an
They're there.
incident is a huge ding against a mine.
You don't want to be the guy that breaks a bone, because you come up, you go in the showers, and you're like, hey man, what happened
Cost
there?
us a lot of money.
Yeah.
And not the company necessarily. The company, yes, but it trickles down to all the workers.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
And the workers, they're not enjoying their time for the most part outside of their buddy shit.
Right.
Like we're driving a diesel 50 minutes in to the face of the mine. Guess what? We're having the time of our lives. We're bullshitting about whatever happened. Great time with your old lady, that sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
And you get there, you're like, let's go, hot seat exchange. We're jumping right on the miner, going over here, roof bolting, whatever it might be. And it's just 8 hours of that. So you're there prepping for an hour, you're riding in an hour, working for 8, out an hour, getting ready to go home for another hour. Then all of a sudden, Saturday comes, you're swinging shit up, so you have 4 hours of sleep.
So it was an hour and 45-minute drive each way.
Yeah.
And it was 8 or 10 hour shifts.
It was 8, but it was more like 10 because of your prep.
And then you were required to work every other weekend? Or something like that, if I remember?
Pretty much every Saturday and sometimes Sundays. That was like your choice. As a foreman, yeah.
Yeah, so you would leave, what, like 4?
Mm-hmm.
4:30 every day to get
So in the
there?
winter, I never saw sunlight because I would leave early, and sun doesn't come out till 6:30 around here. Then I would come out of the coal mine, I'd leave the mine by 7 or so, and the sun's going down.
And you get home at 9
Yeah.
and turn around.
Mm-hmm.
So you're at home far less
Yeah.
than when you were actually
Then
working.
Amanda got pregnant with Maddie, and there was a time we were talking. We're like, hey, it's we can't do it anymore.
Yeah, and you already had one baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ava was 2 years old. Yeah, she was 2, and then she went down to Florida one time, and I didn't get to call anybody or anything during the time that she got hurt, and I remember finding out about it like hours later, and I'm like, I can't find out about these things hours after they happen.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, hit her
I
head.
just can't do that. You were there, right?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
So that was the reason I decided had to get out of the coal mines, because the second baby's coming and I'm not worried about two babies I can't hear about for 10 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Right.
So then I went and I started my own marketing company in downtown Pittsburgh.
How long were you in the coal mine? How long were you there for?
A year and a half.
Yeah, no, you weren't. That wasn't like a long stint, but
No.
It felt like it.
Well, yeah, but it was one of the great. I always thought it was one of the greatest jobs I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, that's something that I wish I could. I wish I could. I don't know. I would never have a long-term desire to do that, but like I wish I could experience it for a short term.
It was one of the best experiences. I was never like. It was cool being like, you're working with me, and your survival is based on me, and my survival is based on you.
Yeah, your team.
You know what I mean?
Your team.
And you go down with your 6 guys every single day, and you were there for each other, and that is it for those 8 hours. Because one person has a lapse, we got a big problem. We're blowing up, roof, whatever it might be. But it was cool. It was really, really cool. As awful as it sounded, me describing it, it was cool.
But then you went and started your own. You went try to get back to your degrees, your training.
Yeah. So I went back into marketing. Started a marketing company. I contacted Tom again, who I worked with at the print shop, and Tom's like, "Yeah, I got work for you." So he was like my base, right? Like the smallest amount I could make a month to survive.
Right.
And then I just tried to get business outside of there. So leveraging friends and family, dad's contacts, insurance companies, whatever it might have been. Is that locked?
Good.
Sorry. That's probably locked. You're good, dude. You're good. So leveraging all the contacts I possibly had, from there to just sort of build business. So word spread pretty quickly about the quality of what I did. Back in the day, for me, it was like Google marketing. Like that was a big thing.
Right.
It was simple.
Yeah.
You just Google AdWords, and for some reason fell into insurance companies, right? So I started working on insurance companies. My biggest customer was a company called Blush Strip Club.
Strip Club.
Yeah. Albert Bortz, who's no longer there. He was
shout out Blush.
He was a piece of work, but he was my biggest customer. So to take this forward, eventually we moved. We built a house in Plum, Pennsylvania.
I mean, you had an office downtown.
Yeah, office downtown.
Yeah,
for a
you
few years.
were all in on this. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a good company.
You kind of said like you had these like base contracts, but like you were all in on this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it made money. Don't get me wrong.
This is
I downplay things sometimes a little bit, but it was good.
But it was tough.
But I learned what not to do.
Right.
Like fuck.
Business acumen at its finest, right there.
I mean, you can go get your MBA. It don't fucking matter. It doesn't matter if you get your
cold
MBA.
calls, all the grind. Yeah.
I'm good at the sales. I'm good at keeping customers, relationships, but running the actual business on the back end, like Jesus, like it's a nightmare if you don't do it properly, which is what we excel at nowadays. But it comes from doing it the wrong way for a long time. But
so from there you segued into.
So anyhow, we moved into Plum. We built a house in Plum, Pennsylvania, in this near a cul-de-sac in the Highlands, and met some of the greatest neighbors of all time. But one of the neighbors that we met was Pat, Pat and Kate. So we got to be friends with them over 3 years probably. We got to be like some of the best friends around, like best buds around. Amanda and Kate got to be best friends, and our kids were starting to be best friends. And he owned a manufacturing company at the time. He owned Reaction Nutrition, then partnered with SDC Nutrition. And we just kept bullshitting. Like, we'd watch the Justin Bieber roasts at, 12 a.m. or then do, Guitar Hero at 1 a.m. and like hang out and sing whatever it is with the kids and everything. So we eventually got to the point where like, he texted me one night. He's like, "Hey, do you know anybody that can build a website?" And I'm like, "Well, that's a question you have the answer to, right?" Because that's sort of the heart of what I do, what I did.
You're not going into AMN yet, are you?
What?
You're skipping a stint.
What?
What did you do between marketing and AMN?
Sales. I don't even talk about that.
Insurance, though. I mean, that's a.
That was a part of that I just never want to think about. But
That's what that to me is one of the biggest grinds you went through, though. I mean,
yeah,
like, so you were an insurance salesman.
yeah, for a bit, yeah.
See, so if you're
No.
watching this, you can see the look on his face, and that's like, that was a grind.
Yeah, well, those people, yeah, I don't even want to talk about it, but because they still haunt me to this day. But
How long were you doing that for?
year and a half,
Year and a half.
yeah, I was a partner there supposedly, and it didn't work out. But so we digress.
So he's skipping over this, but this I think, honestly, between the coal mine learning experience, being in the coal, being in the mines, and then your experience in that, I'll just say it was just I wasn't in it, but it seemed like a very, just a bad situation.
It was a bad situation. It was bad leadership, which I thought was good leadership at the time. Which, from going from marketing for these types of companies to being brought into something like that, there was a huge misnomer or miscommunication as far as what their actual goals were, what their actual leadership, I guess, morals were. I don't want to badmouth them, but they were pieces of shit, and that's kind of all there was to it. And one of my still great friends to this day, Tony, I still talk to him all the time, and he felt horrible about leading me into that, but he's since survives and gone on to create a great thing on his own. But that was just an experience of just being young and dumb enough, I think, to believe there's more to it than there was, and I kind of saw the writing. That's why I beat myself up over it, because I kind of saw the writing on the wall whenever I went there, and I just kept believing and kept building their business for them and creating more things for them of value, when I knew deep down inside that these weren't the type of leaders that I should be with long term.
I mean, essentially, they were deceptive,
Very
misleading.
deceptive, yeah.
Deceptive, misleading, and took advantage of people.
Well, they did a good job of teaching me what not to do in the future.
Yeah, I mean, like so, I knew one other person who actually worked there. I mean, like, I know, like, it was a very, it was just a very, I can't think of a better word to use than just bad. It
was dark. It was a super dark company, but they didn't let you in on that. You know what I mean? Like, people that worked there, they would just, bring guilt out of rather than bring praise, whenever they deserve the praise, that sort of thing. And, but, you live and you learn, and you build from it, and you learn what not to do, and keep going forward. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, I that is what led to the conversation you had with Pat,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then, you were both coming out of, challenging situations, and then Pat asked you to build a website, or if you know somebody who could build a website.
Yeah, because he was in his own shitty situation with his merger. And so, he asked me to build a website, and he knew the answer to that, which to me was like, hey.
Oh, he did know? I mean, he had to have known, right?
Oh, yeah.
He knew you.
Yeah.
He knew.
Yeah, I think he knew. So I'm like, yeah,
Passive way of asking.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, why don't you just give me your login? Because this looks like shit, whatever it is. And then we met at Eaton Park like a week and a half, 2 weeks later. And we met and we sat down and we were like, hey. And Pat's like, here's my idea I have. The name's American Made Nutrition. I'm like, first of all, that name's taken, for sure. And I'm like, if that name's not taken, then I think we're onto something. And he's like, well, I can't talk to anybody for about a year. He has his things. I'm like, all right, well, let's just go ahead and build this thing together. So we literally just jumped ship, and we went all in. So there was no paychecks happening. There was no funding happening. The first order we got in to sell was completely different product and taste than we ever expected. It was not what we bought. So we were down in the fucking hole even more than we ever expected.
How did that happen? What do you mean?
So the company that we originally manufactured was out of business now.
Oh, they sent you.
Yeah. So they sent us a completely different product.
Oh.
Yeah. So anyhow, so we went through that. That was the first struggle. Then we got to the point where we were actually selling a few things. So we're filling up his basement with pallets. So every there'd be a truck
I
coming
remember
down.
the shirt making days.
Oh yeah, we
Shirt
print
presses.
shirts in his basement. Yeah.
I got
So
all the
our
reference.
manufacturer's like, no, we can't send a full truck, to your residential neighborhood. We're like, I promise you, one day we're gonna sell a lot of stuff. He's like, oh boy, I don't know about this. So he sent like a UPS like freight truck, which is super expensive for like 2 pallets of shit, right? He sent it to us, then all of our neighbors would help like offload it by hand because we didn't have pallet jack, we didn't have a fork truck, we didn't have anything. So our neighbors would be like taking stuff down into his basement. We'd organize it in his basement. So then any order online or whatever it might have been, we just literally would be us packing it and shipping it from there and then taking it to somewhere to ship out, probably the post office down the street. So eventually we started selling stuff. We're like, holy shit, okay, here we go. And then we put stuff, we filled his basement up, we put stuff in his garage. Then he couldn't park his cars, the trucks had a problem, okay, we filled up his garage. So then we put stuff in my basement. We put stuff in my basement, in my garage. Then, at that point, mom and dad were still like hand filling bottles. You probably shouldn't hear this, but they were hand filling bottles. So we had these big sheets, right?
They had
with
hairnets,
a
mask on, and gloves.
Yeah, sure. Yep. And they had COVID. No, I'm kidding. So they had these.
Predated COVID. They had the flu.
I'm joking. So we had these big sheets, right, with a handle on them. So you dip them in these capsules, then shake them. You had 30 capsules. You dump them into a big funnel.
I remember.
Yeah. Our whole house smelled like cinnamon because there was cinnamon in these certain capsules. And then...
Are you still hand filling anything these days?
No.
No. Where is everything filled these days?
Valencia, California.
Yeah, in a factory.
In a very certified factory.
Certified factory,
Yep.
yes.
Good manufacturing practices, FDA audits, we're good now.
Got all the documents.
Back then, hopefully you didn't take anything. I'm joking, sort of. So we eventually got to the point, 6 months in, we hadn't paid each other. Nobody's been paid, right? And it's not like we had a bunch of money to begin with.
And back then, or Amanda, your wife, was what?
A teacher.
Teacher. That was your income.
Mm-hmm.
A teacher salary. You had... Blakey was not around?
Blakey was around.
She was around?
Yep. So
Brand new house.
Yeah. Bigger house than we should have, more expensive house than we should have bought. We should have never bought the house.
Yeah.
But I got it. And the house was $289,000, and it was way beyond our means.
Yeah.
Way beyond our means, and we didn't realize it, but it was. And then Amanda was making $50,000. That's what she was making.
Yeah, because you built the house at the time. You were in the coal. No.
No,
You
it was
were
after the coal
doing
mine.
your marketing
Yeah.
or
Marketing.
insurance.
I was back to marketing.
Marketing.
So we had $50,000 salary, and we had this house that was too much
And
for us.
you maybe freelancing a little bit?
Mm-mm.
Not even at all, right?
Nope, we were all
all
in.
in.
Yep. So, so we were 6 months into not being paid. So then at that point, Pat and I were like, hey, we need to make this jump because we have a little bit of revenue coming in from the business finally, right? And I'm talking like maybe 15 grand a month. Like that's it. It's not enough to buy new product.
Yeah, and 15 grand a month could sound like a lot to many people right
It's
now.
not. Okay,
But like
in
if
this
you're
industry.
reinvesting, you gotta, of that 15 grand, what? Half of that goes back to replacing the stock and new product and
How are you supposed to get a new product, okay, if you're just replacing product?
yeah, that's gross.
It can't happen, yeah.
Net is nothing hardly at that time.
No, it's zero.
Yeah.
Zero net.
Yeah.
So then we decided to take whatever we were making and go get offices. But we needed an office that we could make money on or at least cancel out. So that's when we started 412 Nutrition. So we had 2 offices in 412 Nutrition. We had a little storefront in the front. Then we had, the whole thing was 2,700 square feet. I think we had about 1,500 square feet of warehouse in the back. It was a perfect situation for us. So when that happened, things started flowing. Me and Pat were in the same room, same building every day together, hitting phones on it. We had a place to be, you know what I mean? Like outside of our houses. We had a storefront, which was cool, but it paid for everything there. Then we had a warehouse that we needed to stock and we needed to empty. So that was our goal every single day. And as soon as we did that, that was it.
Started going.
That was it. Yeah.
I'll never forget when you called me and you're like, "Hey, I was coming down or something." You're like, "I'm talking about so much." And you're like, "Hey, we got a store." And I was like, "You got a store?" And so you got to come see it. It's got a warehouse in the back. And you were like, "Hey, by the way, while you're coming, can you help fill up these racks?" Or I forget, I think it was like racks you were putting together even maybe.
Yeah.
And I remember being so proud of you. Like, dude, you've gone through, I know because I knew you, like, you haven't been paid in forever. It's been a grind. I mean, you're coming off of a shitty experience with insurance. Then you start this, which is like, I remember thinking, I'm jealous, even when you, in those first 6 months, hearing how bad it sucked. And by the suck, I mean, like, not the work, but like the lack of security of an income. I remember being jealous at that time. And then, like, I remember seeing like that, I'm like, damn, he's made it.
Well, that
storefront and that little, like, that 2,700 square feet, I'm like, damn, he's made it.
Yeah.
I remember thinking it.
I remember you videoing it when you came down.
Yeah, dude, I was so proud. I was so pumped.
I thought that was it. You know what I mean? I thought that was like the big one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then...
it was.
Yeah.
In that moment, it was.
Well, because I was like, okay, I think I finally see the light at the end of the tunnel, which is like, you know, making possibly one day like 80 grand, 100 grand a year. You know, I'm just saying these numbers, like, not that
arbitrary numbers.
Yeah.
Arbitrary numbers.
I think I could possibly one day, you know, be at this point where I'm a simple guy. I live a simple life. Like, those numbers to me are way more than I've ever had.
Right, yeah.
And they're enough to me to...
On your own terms, too.
Yeah. The whole not having the boss thing was worth another 100, 200 grand a year, probably. But
on your own terms.
Yeah, on my own terms, because I'm just not good with authority, never have been, not going to be. But, yeah, I mean, that to me was like a huge turning point. And Pat and I knew, like, once we got there, because at home, like, it was a wreck. Dude, I go, Amanda, yeah, I worked all day today, still not getting a paycheck. You know what I mean? Like, how sexy is that?
Right, yeah.
And, you know, Pat's same thing.
And you're like in the dining room.
Yeah. Hey, let's have dinner tonight. What are we going to talk about? Not getting paid?
Right.
Because that's what we're going to talk about.
And let me move my papers and computer.
Worst thing is, we went down to the store. We still didn't pay ourselves for another 6 months. We went 13 months without a paycheck. And I was not in a position, you know, nobody's in a position to do that.
No, you'd not been preparing for this.
No,
you had not been preparing for this.
So whenever we went down to the store, we were there from 7 a.m. and we closed the store at 8 p.m. So Pat and I were there 6 days a week, 7 a.m., 8 p.m. Because if we close it early, we might lose a $45 sale.
Yeah, $1.
We can't afford that.
No.
Literally what we were dying on, but that was another 6 months of being away from them after we were with them every day. You know, you get into that mix, but you don't pay yourself. And then another 6 months, okay, now here's the exact opposite. You're not with them at all, and you're not paying them also. That's worse.
Yeah.
But we were getting to the point where, okay, we did start paying ourselves finally, right? You know, it wasn't very much at all. We were paying
$100,000 a year out of the gate.
Yeah, right. We were just paying ourselves to survive.
Right.
That's where we were at. And we weren't sure if we should even do that. And then, you know, 5 months after that, our buddy, who we had zero trust in, was like, hey, you should meet my friend. He's a really good friend of mine, Seth. I'm like, I'm like, I don't trust you to even be in the store right now, let alone introduce me to another person. And I'm like, he's got nothing for me, you know? He's like, his name is Seth Rossi. I'm like, okay, cool. My name's Mike Rhoten. Like, what does that do for me?
Right.
He's like, oh, he's got a really cool company he just started. Like, as soon as, like, the same time he started American Made Nutrition. And I'm like, okay, what can he do for me? You know? And he's like, I don't know. You should meet him though. I'm like, whatever, dude. So he sent me like his Instagram account. I'm like, this dude's pretty fucking cool. You know, like, he seems to be like a guy that, like, I would buy stuff from. Like, he has all of his morals, values, all of his intentions, all of his apparel. I'm like, pretty cool shit. Like, if you can get that guy.
Cool dude with ethics and morality.
That's all I was looking at.
That's it.
It's rare to find, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you can get that guy in this office, I was like, I'll give you like $100. I don't know. Whatever it is.
Grab a tub of protein.
You know, give you a handy. But he's like, oh, I'll get it. I can get him in here. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. I'm like, whatever you do, whenever you go meet with him, or next week, he's like, I'm gonna go meet with him today. I'm like, whatever you do, just don't say you're in a private label, a brand for him or anything like that. I'm like, just say you know some guys that are good at like supplementation, nutrition, branding, all that stuff, have manufacturing contacts. Sure enough, he went there and said, hey, you want a private label brand?
Selling them, trying to sell them some undercut, get a piece.
So somehow he got Seth and Bob to the table with us. And that was going back to 2 hours ago when we talked about it, whatever it was. That was the
That's
first
when
time.
AMN, American Made Nutrition, and All American Roughneck
First met.
got together.
Yeah.
And all the FUs and all the yelling at each other, that's when that occurred.
That's when that occurred, yeah. And Bob and Seth had been through all their shit for years. Like, so same exact shit we went through, they went through it on their side together.
Yeah, grinding,
Yeah.
personal issues, just
Tons of
the
personal
ringer.
issues.
The ringer, yeah.
So then that was eventually what brought us together at that store. Then 6 months after that, we had a new 8,000 square feet facility down the street. 6 months after that, we had 10,000 square feet.
So go slow through this.
Yeah.
Day one, 2,700 square foot
Mm-hmm.
warehouse storefront.
Yeah.
4 of you get together, yell at each other. 6 months later, you have an 8,000 square foot factory. Not factory, warehouse.
Warehouse, yeah.
6 months after that, another 8,000 square foot warehouse.
10, yeah.
10.
So then we ran out of space there again, and we have a local leasing company that loves to rent stuff to us, obviously. So they make room for us, right? Okay, thank you. So we got another 5,000 square foot place, like overflow place across the street. Right here at the building we're in right now is 25,000 square feet. Then we got another 5,000 overflow. And right now across from our original, I know you can't fucking map this together, but I'm adding it all up, all right? So then across from the original 10,000 square feet, we got a 30,000 square foot warehouse. That's sort of our main distribution center right now.
I don't think I've seen that one.
No, you haven't. No, you can see it. But
Warehouse, right?
overall, we have like 80, maybe 80, 85. We could use about $1.60 probably.
85,000 square feet of
Yeah.
warehouse space could double that.
We
Probably could put it all under one roof too.
We would love to put it on one roof. Our goal would be to put it
Anybody
on one
selling
roof.
real estate in what township or what like
Westmoreland County.
counties?
Yeah. Because nobody is. Everybody buys it up. But no, I mean, we've had opportunities to move it outside of Westmoreland County, but our people are what make this place
This is
run.
yeah.
That's it,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Like our shipping people are as integral as anybody down this hallway, which down this hallway means our marketing gurus, our graphic designers, our creatives, everything. Every single person in this company is as important as the next. And if they don't know it, they should. But I do think they realize that because we talk to them all the time. Like everybody's friends here. Like we go golfing together. Doesn't matter what department you're in.
What's
We'll hang out.
your talk about your sledgies real quick?
Yeah, so our Sledgie Awards is our Christmas party. So we give everybody an award. So at the Sledgie Awards, like my oldest son, which is not my son, but I act like he is, Shane. Shane won, what did he win last year? No, okay, so you gotta remember. So a new guy last year, John Feskin. He was new. We weren't sure who he was. He won the Who the Fuck Are You Award last
So
year.
these are
Oh yeah, they're
comical.
fucked up. Yeah. But they're all in good fun. And Ethan, that's been with Ethan. He's been with us for 5+ years. He's like, I'm not going this year if I'm not getting the award. And they're always like over the top, right?
Right.
They never make you like feel super good. about
Fun.
yourself.
Yeah, they're fun and playful.
But they're just fun and playful. But it's like a night to remember or forget.
The HR department here is pretty loose.
That's how they're
Still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
So 80,000 square feet. I mean, you're doing you're selling tens of thousands of units
Our
on certain nights.
Yeah, our capacity is
I
about
mean-
1,500 orders a day.
That's like through your general orders.
Yep. Yeah, our capacity is about that. Yeah. You know, we'll do 10, 15,000 orders on you know, big release night for AAR coming up here. We'll get them out with 48 staff, you know, and only maybe
So you got about
18 of
50
them.
employees at this point?
Yeah, and about 18 of them being shipping or so. We'll get them out in, you know, roughly a week, which, you know, with what the demand is and everything, I mean, we're really, really proud of that.
Yeah.
Super proud of that.
Yeah, it's all hands on deck too. I mean, I've seen when you guys do that.
Yeah,
It's not
it's
like
wild.
it's just like
Yeah, you've been
you're
there,
in
yeah.
shipping, so you do it. It's like
No, all hands.
Yeah.
Everybody's in there. Everybody's in there pitching wives. Everybody.
Thanksgiving. I've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting that you talk about like orders and like you share those numbers because I know, like, so in my
Cool with it.
first podcast, the first episode with Greg Putnam, I mean, I don't know if you heard of that one, but
Mhm.
like, dude, it's, talk about just crazy inspiring. I mean, like Navy SEAL, guide in Montana, now started a cattle company, cattle ranch in
Yeah.
Montana in the middle of COVID, like
Super cool.
super cool. He's like telling me like, oh, you know, like ranchers, they don't like to share their details because it could like, and I'm like, but the same thing what he's doing is what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to be. He's like, I don't need to be private about it. Replicate what I'm doing. Do it. Try and do it. If you can do it, great. But it's not the typical market way. It's not the typical market strategy to roll out. No other supplement company that I'm aware of, no other lifestyle company that I'm aware of, in fact, has the community that you guys have built. I mean, you guys have built community, trust, loyalty, and then the products are a byproduct of that community. I mean,
Yeah.
it's that lifestyle, that brand. He told me afterwards, we went and got a beer. He's like, hey, look, he's like, you know, personally, I think it's hysterical when people get upset about that.
Yeah.
Be good, do good. It doesn't matter. Like you can't replicate models built on that type of foundation.
No, not at all. And I'd put our 7,500 demo crew or 7,000 demo crew members up against 50,000 of somebody else's, you know, affiliate program that they bait in or whatever, and our 7,000 will fucking wipe the floor with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just based on because we want quality. We turn down, you know, 25% of the people that apply for it because if you're not the fit, you're not the fit. You know, we don't want you in there. So anybody that's a part of it, you're there for a reason, and it's not just your decision; it's our decision too. So it's a mutual decision to become partners in this. So we don't have 7,000 people that just apply and they hit a button to go in.
Well, and those
So
guys
comfortable.
can't share a link for somebody to automatically be a member.
No,
Right.
Yeah. No, it ain't happening.
And like the elite
They're
demo
vetted.
crews, it's 9
There's
people,
So
10.
they're up to 12 now.
12.
So that's the coolest thing about what we do, I think, is because people ask all the time, like, how do you become a Demo Crew Elite member? I'm like, you don't. It just happens because you can sell, you know, $50,000 in product a month. I don't care. That's great. You know, thanks. You get, you know, wonderful. Good job. You could, you know, just live the lifestyle and not talk about the brand or not promote it or not like, you know, pretend like it's a part of your life. Okay, well, you live the lifestyle, but you need to use the products. If you live the lifestyle, that's wonderful. But if you don't like the products, then we're not cool either. You know, like just do what you do.
It's all
Like,
good.
And then I always tell people, if I can't have a beer with you, that's like the biggest no-no, right? So like the Demo Crew Elite, the 12 members that we have always get hit up, right? Especially when they did this visit in town recently, which was awesome. So they get hit up like crazy. How do I do this? How do I do this? I'm like, hey guys, how to respond to them is tell them that you don't have an answer for them. Like, it's a horrible thing to say, but you have to somehow be able to have a beer with Mike. You have to somehow like live the actual Axe and Sledge HWMF lifestyle, and you have to promote the products and just be a good person, like day after day after day. If you can do that, eventually they'll see who you are. eventually they'll see what you represent, and eventually they'll see that you could be a part, of this, smaller exclusive group.
Yeah, I mean, like if you look at the original Elite Eight that you had,
Yeah.
I never looked closely at it, but I would imagine that if you looked at like all their social engagement, like as far as influence their status would go, it wouldn't be that high. Like they would have a cumulative amount of followers.
It's higher now, obviously, but yeah.
They would have a cumulative amount of followers, which wouldn't have been on the radar for somebody who's looking to buy an influencer for a brand.
No.
I mean, but when I started following them, when I actually like learned about them, learned who they are, it was clear.
How cool are they, dude?
It was clear. I mean, like these are people who are utilizing the product because they like it, enjoy it, believe in it, get value from it, and they've got that same morality, that same ethics that we talked about with like Seth. I mean, like they are the epitome of a hardworking motherfucker, if you will. I mean, like they are
building pools.
Right. I mean, what are their? I mean, I don't know all their jobs. So I probably shouldn't even start listing them, but construction, plumbing, mechanic.
Billy's doing bodybuilding. You have Sierra, that's a forensic anthropologist. Like it doesn't matter what you do. It just matters of being consistent and showing us what you're all about, and just living the core values of being a hardworking motherfucker.
And I mean,
eventually we do see it.
That goes back to like just that. Probably to like start wrapping this up. Like that is the epitome of I think where the success has come from, and you four have gone through it. Mm-hmm. Financially, personally, relationship-wise, just each of you in your own unique ways and in really similar ways have been beat up and put down. And then you come together and you build something really, really special. And I think, tons of people, and when I said I got to meet some of those guys, I mean, I met them at your house for dinner.
Yeah. You were there with them, man.
Like they came, they were in town 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. You gave them all personal tours of everything. They got.
I welcome them to my house. You know what I mean? Like if I can't welcome you to the house, you're not going to be a Democracy Elite member. Like, I feel like that's the easiest way to like say like, hey, that's the guideline, right?
Right. I mean, like I met them as your brother at your house over dinner, not at like a convention.
But you were friends with them already.
I got to know them. That's the way it works. I got to know them, but like for me to meet them at your house as opposed to like at a convention or at like a festival or whatever the hell they're called, like at a competition, like
Expo,
yeah. I mean that to me is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. They're great people.
Hey, so we weren't planning on doing this until I was driving down here. It's almost 8 o'clock at night right now.
Yeah.
I have fast questions that I typically ask at the end of these. I don't remember all of them because I don't have any notes in front of me, but I'll ask you two that I can think of. I probably should have prepped you with these first.
I'm good.
Uh-oh. So unfortunately, my computer went to sleep after I asked Mike the first question, and we lost the sound from that point. So I'm going to summarize the conversation we had moving forward. I asked him 3 questions, the first of which was, who would you most like to be like or emulate? And he, without hesitation, said, Dad. I did not give him these questions in advance either, so he did not have any time to prepare or think about them, but he quickly said, Dad. Went on to explain a little bit about our father, and he changed it through the conversation to say not like just Dad, but our parents. Our father's deaf, has undergrad degree in something, and then 2 master's degrees in something. They're both educators. My dad ran the Western Pennsylvania School for the Deaf, and then when we, at some point, I think it was probably about 10, 11 years ago, the state closed the other school for the deaf. There are 2 in Pennsylvania, and they closed one, and it was on the eastern side of the state, and instead of leaving, children over there, kind of out to dry, they decided to take over the school and keep it running, which was a ton of work. My mom would drive to Scranton 5 hours each way on Monday and then come back Friday. She would stay in an apartment over there through the week, and did that for years, probably 3 or 4 years. I'm not even sure exactly. Did that for a long time, and then those two in a team did that and kept the school going. It's great now. He worked in deaf education for over 40 years, and my mom right around the same amount of time. They made huge impacts and are remarkable people. So kudos to Mike on that answer. He nailed it with that one. My parents are pretty awesome.
I found Margaret.
I also have a special guest with me right now.
I found Margaret.
My little 3-year-old.
I found Margaret.
Griffin, you say hi? Or Connor, you say hi?
Hi.
The next question I asked Mike was, who would you not want to be like? Or who would you not like to, or what character traits would you not like to emulate? And without question, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll
I knew it.
without hesitation, he kind of gave a similar answer to what Greg Putnam said in episode 1. Hey, can I do something real quick?
Oh.
Okay. Where Greg said he didn't want to be like people who were not supportive of you in your life. Mike said he did not want to be like somebody who kind of was egotistical, who put out a bravado or a fake character to try and impress other people. So he didn't want to have those traits. He wanted, to be his own man, represent his own, have his own identity, and be true to his traits, character, whether they're good, bad, however they're perceived, just to be the guy he is and to be honorable to that. So, again, I thought that was a fantastic answer. Like I said, similar to Greg, Greg didn't want to be like somebody who was putting you down because they were insecure with themselves. Mike didn't want to be like somebody who was putting out this false identification because, those people were insecure as well. The last question I asked Mike was, what would you, if you could do something one day, or if there's one thing you could recommend to somebody that they do every day, what would it be? And again, he nailed this answer. He said to dream every day. Super cool. He went on to explain what he meant by that, and he kind of touched on the fact that, when times are tough and when you're working without, you're pursuing your goals, your dreams, and you're not making any money or whatever it may be, you still have to, if you have your dream, you have your pursuit, then you got to think about that every day, and you got to process the fact that there is a journey in order to get there, and along the way, you're going to get beat down, you're going to lose, you're going to fail, but you can't stop. You have to keep dreaming. You have to keep remembering what's important, and no matter what, you got to continue pursuing it. So dream every day. Didn't give him these questions in advance. He may have heard some of them from a previous episode, but kudos to Mike. It was I really enjoyed the conversation. It was impromptu. I was coming down to pick up a trailer, and he lives in Pittsburgh. I live a few hours north, and we talked from, I think it was like 6:30 p.m. until 8 p.m. So appreciate him taking the time to do that. But yeah, it was really, really cool to talk to him about it. All right. Sorry about the issues with the technical issues here. Not promising I'll fix them. Not very technically savvy, but will do my best to continue start being consistent with these episodes. I really do enjoy talking to people. I hope you get some value out of it like I am. The intent behind me starting this was because I wanted to learn from people who are doing cool things, who are doing exceptional things. And I kind of figured, heck, if I'm going to learn, if I'm going to talk to them, maybe somebody else would like to hear. So let me know. Give me feedback. You hate it, you like it, whatever, let me know. Got any ideas, suggestions? I'm here to learn. So appreciate you. Take care.